Who were these Anglo-Saxons? Where did they come from? And how was it that they came to dominate English culture for over 500 years? We know that they came to England by boat from Denmark and nearby Germanic lands. There was no official organized Anglo-Saxon army at first, only scattered battle-loving tribes who took advantage of the collapse of the Roman Empire to attack England, seizing loot and treasure, and often returning home with their prizes. The Anglo-Saxons were not pirates, but plunderers, raiders looking for treasure. They came to like this land they first called Angloland, and many of them stayed. When there was no more treasure to steal, they worked the land and created an agricultural life. It took hundreds of years for the Anglo-Saxons to become a truly settled people. Despite their image in history as fierce warriors, Anglo-Saxons were also farmers, craftsmen, historians, and even scholars. The focus of life in their village was the Great Hall, where the entire community could gather together in times of crisis and in times of celebration. Although the Anglo-Saxons were eventually converted to Christianity, it is primarily their pagan customs that survive in the literature. Anglo-Saxons held a pagan belief that elevated the poet to a position of status and importance. One could achieve immortality in the words of a poet, but it was an immortality that could only be achieved by doing great deeds, being recognized for them, and having the poets recount your legacy for future generations. In other words, by becoming famous, you could live forever. And only the poets could make you famous. The Anglo-Saxon epic poem Beowulf was created out of this tradition and tells the courageous deeds of a great hero and his band of warriors. The poem shows a culture that valued courage above all else and demanded extreme loyalty to its leaders. It was also a culture in which the leaders were extremely generous to their followers. This compact of loyalty and generosity bonded the tribe together. In the 9th century, Scandinavian peoples called Vikings invaded England. Within decades, these invading Vikings had destroyed Anglo-Saxon kingdoms that had existed for hundreds of years. A young Saxon king named Alfred successfully mustered a courageous group of warriors and forced the Vikings to return much of the land they had seized in battle. For this Saxon victory, Alfred is known as the Great, the only English leader to earn such an honor. Alfred ruled from 878 to his death in 899. His descendants continued to rule until the death of Edward the Confessor in 1066. When the childless Edward died, his kingdom was left to Harold. Today, the legacy of those ancient Anglo-Saxon kingdoms remain in our language and our literature. 100 of the most frequently used words in the English language can be traced directly to the Anglo-Saxon tongue. Beyond the legacy of language, the Anglo-Saxon spirit continues to live on in literature. Their stories of warriors, monsters, and epic heroes remain as echoes of a long-vanished civilization.